Hello everybody, welcome back to Loads PC and welcome back to the War in Pacific play-by-email game against Invictus. How is everybody doing? So, we are slowly progressing up the Philippines. Our units from the south of Luzon have finally made it to the south of Manila, so they won't be long until they're in Bataan, fighting hard. Meanwhile, elsewhere we have a few night missions going on, and something quite interesting happening here. So this is the Surabaya, which we have seen a couple of times, and included a bombardment on us a while ago. And here are our DMSs trying to find them. But the interesting thing with this is the Surabaya is one of the oldest ships in the game. This came from XYZ on the Discord, which is, very, very cool. But this is a 1909 ship with 11-inch guns, okay? Now, 11-inch guns are quite big. And, if those guns do hit the DMSs, they're going to cause a lot of issues. Now, the DMSs have got 12cm guns, if I remember rightly. So that's 120mm, whereas, as I say, this has got a 28cm gun, 11 inches. So, yeah, not particularly great. They are doing some damage to it, which I'm kind of surprised at. But this is kind of where the aggression stat isn't necessarily the best, because a less aggressive captain might go, that ship's got guns that can blow us out of the water, let's not get involved. However, a more aggressive captain is something called, well, how about we attack this ship? It's going to be absolutely fine. It won't, nothing's going to come back and bite us on the bum. Something else that is kind of a bit distressing here is the USS Sculpin at Legazpi causing chaos. It has sunk the Quezon Maru, and 200 men from the 16th Army had to be rescued. And we have so many destroyers over here, not one of them finds it to drop torpedoes, depth charges on it. So extremely, extremely frustrating from my point of view there. But I mean, breathe in, breathe out, relax. But yes, not the best. So an interesting evening, so to speak. But here we can see the Sculpin once again causing significant damage. I go to skip through this and it fires a couple of torpedoes. It's, it's just causing all sorts of problems. So sinking 2 cargo ships, which is not good at all. And luckily, the 16th Army is offloading at Legazpi, so it's not the end of the world, but still, not ideal to say the least. And I'm not particularly happy about that. So we will see how things go in the future. But the US submarines, they are extremely frustrating, and getting on top of, getting on my nerves, basically. Our invasion of Ocean Island has started. We're not expecting too much resistance from Ocean Island, but it's good to kind of get these territories under our control, and then we can kind of move on and kind of secure a better surround and a better, I can't think of the word, a better perimeter, that's what I want, to defend in the future. So that is kind of something that we will see how it goes. Now, elsewhere, more submarines trying to cause us problems, and again, not really doing anything about them, which is kind of frustrating. Here we have a corvette trying to hit the I-4, but so far failing to do so. But, you know, again, it's one of those things that in the future we need to be careful of, especially with corvettes. Now, here during the day, we see the Surabaya face up against two of our DMSs. And I'm thinking, okay, is the Surabaya just really not that good, or is the captain not that good? And then, you know, we see our ships hitting the deck armor and kind of bouncing off. They decide to disengage, and I'm like, okay, well, they're gonna, you know, everything's gonna be fine. And then the Surabaya hits with one of its guns on the DMS-18, then hits the other DMS with its guns, and severe armor, you know, severe damage caused, yada yada yada. And I'm like, yeah, this is exactly why I didn't want them fighting the Surabaya. And we actually are going to lose one of the DMSs as well. It will pop up in the future and say that it has been sunk, which is crazy. So yeah, honestly, I kind of find it hilarious how bold they were being. Now, this is something that is really, really good for us, and something that I took a bit of time to watch, was finally, not Changsha, Changte is where the Flying Tigers had their base. And we are using our zeros to try and deal with them. And, you know, we can see that we are getting a decent amount of damage. They're also getting some on us, but we are managing getting a decent amount of damage, even if we don't shoot down loads of them. We are shooting down enough. You know, maybe a couple more days of this, and we might not completely wipe out the squadron, but it might be enough to kind of make, Invictus and the Flying Tigers move away. So we will see, you know, how that goes in the future. But we will hopefully kind of keep on top of it. But I feel like, you know, it's a hard one to say, because I know for a fact that there is 3 American volunteer groups, and, you know, we are doing well enough to damage this one, but obviously if he, you know, decides to move both of them, then that's another, I think if I remember rightly, 27 planes each. That's another 54 aircraft. So there's a lot that he can kind of bring over here. And these are the old Warhawks as well. These aren't even particularly newer Warhawks. But again, you know, we're causing a lot of damage on them. It's giving our pilots good experience. You know, this is the first real proper combat that we're dealing with. And then when we have a look, you know, according to this, 8 destroyed, and compared to our 2, we find a few others up here. And, you know, again, it's promising to see. I was a bit worried here, but we start, you know, destroying some of them, and, you know, hopefully we can keep this up, as I say, for the next few days, and maybe do some tiger hunting. But again, we'll have to wait and see how that all goes. We have some Kates bombing inland Mindano, but not doing much damage because they are probably hidden away. So we need to keep an eye on that. And elsewhere, you know, the usual kind of bombing raids. So this is bombing Changsha, no real damage done, but again, no flights from the Flying Tigers, which is useful. But generally, the morning was pretty quiet, apart from the fight between the Zeros and the Flying Tigers. Elsewhere, it's mostly pretty quiet. But then we do have a bombing raid in central Malaya. Now, one of the problems is there is some Blenheims getting in amongst our Bettys and Nels. In terms of damage done here, not too bad. They're in jungle, but they are on the move, so the interdiction flights being kind of useful, so I'm happy with that. And then some Lilies coming over, 1 Blenheim, but then we will see how much damage these guys do, and compared to the Nels, we can see that it's nowhere near as good. So I think that's mostly because the Lilies are flying on extended range, which is not ideal for them to fly on extended range. But it is one of those things that, you know, we have to kind of deal with if needs be, until we get a better airbase in Malaya. But hopefully that won't be too much longer. So we can see that, yeah, we lose a DMS there, due to fighting the Surabaja, which is it still blows my mind, you know, that a small little minesweeper with a 12cm gun decides to attack something as significant as that. We got some ground combat. Now, interestingly, we have our units in Chengtao, and something that is really interesting here is in Chengshou, the Invictus has got a lot of troops there as well. So we need to kind of consider what we're going to do to capture that, because it is obviously blocking the river. But once we do, then we'll see how things go. In Clarkfield, our bombardment, it's not going great for us. We are suffering major casualties here. Again, not too much being destroyed, although there was a few guns being destroyed there. But it is a little bit worrying. Again, we do have heavy artillery, the 38th Division, and a load more units coming up. So fingers crossed, we'll have enough to get rid of them. But you'll be able to see that we're taking some, you know, quite significant casualties every month. But again, they do get replenished from Manila quite quickly. So in reality, you know, it's not terrible. We just saw their Ocean Islands be captured. So, you know, we're kind of happy with that. But yes, Clarkfield, not great for us. Pretty rough overall, but we will see how things go. So, at the end of the day, nothing too exciting happening, and we will get into our moving and sorting out our troops. So, the first thing I kind of want to go have a look at is I want to see how well our Zeros did. And particularly our pilots, see how many if we got any veterans. The kills kind of, you know, shared around, which is pretty good. Some good experience here for our Zero pilots, and it means we might have some people who can go into training command, which is good. What I am going to do now that we've kind of, you know, succeeded in what we wanted to do and got some damage done on the Flying Tigers, we're going to increase our rest a little bit so we don't have too much fatigue on both the pilots and the planes. So that is handy. What I am also going to do is I'm going to kind of just assist the Zeros in destroying the Flying Tigers, and I'm going to get the Betty Bombers to bomb Changte at night. Flying them by day, there's, you know, if they don't get the escorts from the Zeros, there's a huge chance that a couple of... I shouldn't say this while I'm recording, but God, I'm yawning a lot. There is always the chance that a few Flying Tigers, a few Warhawks could get in amongst my Betty Bombers and just cause chaos, and that's just not something we want. You know, we don't want chaos to be caused. We don't want to risk losing Betty Bombers this early. We are building a good amount, but, you know, we want to make sure that we've got them to upgrade Nell formations, and, you know, if we do have a bad day, to use them there. So, units moving down to Rabul. All good so far. And just kind of keeping an eye on how things going. I was wondering where the Zeros that I was flying to Rabul were, but they were at Balikpapan. Not quite ready yet, so I'm just going to leave them. We do have here the DMS that is returning to Tiernet for some reason, but that's fine. Elsewhere in Borneo and Balikpapan, things are good. Just to go have a look at the Surabaja and kind of show you what they're kind of going up against. I was thinking, oh, what was it? I couldn't remember what it was. It's a patrol craft. It's PC. But we'll do it via alphabetical order. Scroll right the way down. T, S, and I'm just looking. I'm like, so where is it? And then I see it there. There you go. Patrol gunboat. 28 centimeter guns. It has two of them. one at the front, one at the rear. Yeah, that's much more significant than what my DMSs were using. You know, it is twice the size. It's an 11-inch gun, so you know, kind of crazy. Kind of looking, as I say, around elsewhere, and just kind of keeping an eye on stuff and making sure things are pretty chill. Now, something that I want to sort is the Blenheim fighters didn't do loads of damage, but obviously could always do loads of damage, and is something that I'd rather they didn't. But what we're going to do is we're going to get them to fly over Singapore, these Oscars, on a sweep, just to draw out the Blenheims and things like that, just to make sure that if they are there, then, you know, they can try and fight them and hopefully shoot a couple of them down, or at least damage them enough to keep them in port. And then, you know, we can kind of move from there. Now, at the moment, I'm kind of just looking around, finding what we've got in places and making sure that I'm happy with where things are and where things are planning to go. So we will see, you know, where we are deploying our troops, because a lot of places are all in the kind of, you know, going in the right place. We do have divisions on the move as well, but obviously, as you can see here, you know, we've got the Kaga, the Akagi, they're on their move, so I want them to do a bit of a little sweep, just to see if they could, you know, find the Surabaja and you know, maybe sink it, you know, cause some problems, and if they can cause some problems and do some sinking, then that will be fantastic. But you know, if they don't, then never mind. So yeah, that's always something that will be very intriguing to see how it goes. Again, ideally, we can get some, you know, naval successes. We haven't really been having too many at the moment, and it makes me a little bit sad. Generally, you know, it's kind of like hard to explain, you know, how things are kind of going at the moment. I feel that we're doing okay, but I also feel like we're not doing well enough, you know. I don't feel like there's been any major defeats or any major fuck-ups. The only one I would say is pretty major and was successful from Invictus was the raid on Rabaul that sunk 2 heavy cruisers. You know, that is massive, and that was just because I was not expecting to find carriers in the Coral Sea so quickly, and as many carriers as he had. So we have got the, you know, bigger part of the Kido Butai here now, and we are setting our aircraft so that they're not resting for a couple of days. Obviously, if we kind of pull out of the area, then they will go to rest. But at the moment, you know, they are going to be on. You know, everybody's going to be doing something just to see what we find. Now, something I should be a little bit better with is making sure that my search planes are doing what they need to do, particularly for like the battleships and stuff like that. Elsewhere, we're just going to check on the submarines and make sure the submarines are going to where they need to be, in particular those at Koejin and those that are not needing repairs. So we're going to send these around to these ones, the I-15 and the other submarine that has a seaplane. We're going to send these down around Fiji and the Samoan Islands. The reason being is these guys are going to see if they can spot any allied you know, convoys going along there. Now, if they spot an allied convoy, it might mean that, you know, it's going to take us a couple of days to respond, but at least what we can do is we know that they're going to be along that route at some point. So you can then, you know, make sure that we have 3 or 4, you know, submarines kind of along that convoy route just to try and get rid of them, and cause them some problems, because again, that'll be quite successful. And again, you know, we want to blockade Sydney and Melbourne, but we do have to be careful when we do it. So we're going to leave it here. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. You know, we will carry on with this, and there should be a new turn soon. Apologies for some of the slow upload recently. It's been extremely busy here over at Lowe's PC. And yeah, hopefully we can keep on schedule and get stuff uploaded for you. But until next time, have a very, very good day. I'll see you soon. Bye.